And welcome to week 4 of the Sunday Night Show with Johnboy and no Snicko. We'll get back to that shortly on the couch, but first, let's do a weekly roundup. Look, it's a fairly abridged version. I've got a hodgepodge set up right now in Sydney, but we'll make it do. So we'll start with the Warriors, and the Warriors outlasted the Raiders 28 points. An absolute belter in New Zealand. The Raiders, previously undefeated, fell in pretty emphatic circumstances. You'd have to say. Damo's men getting up quite comfortably in the end and really firmly establishing their credentials as title holders. Now, second, we had the Newcastle Knights taking on the Sydney Rabbitohs in your second of your Monday Night Football 40 games. And the Knights, well, they got their maiden win on the season, 24 points to 12. Wasn't my happy about that. They showed what we've been hoping to see all season. Their forwards were firing, and eventually they just had a little bit too much firepower for Finn Manning's Bunnies side. They fall down to 1-3, I believe. But more importantly, Pretzel and his men and women get their first win of the season and maybe start a run to the final. Now, last, we had the Titans fall to 0-4 remarkably. The Bulldogs, well, they actually put up quite a fight, the Titans, but Jai O'Neill, once again, his prop stint has proven to be quite effective. He scored a length of the field try to knock the Titans off and finish any chances they had. Now we'll go to the Cowboys on Tuesday night. The Cowboys took the Roosters down 24 points to 16. A real grinder of a game. That was a bit shitty to watch, but definitely one for the contact enthusiasts. A lot of heavy hitting in the middle and a lot of bodies going flying. The Roosters will be upset with that. I think they're a better team than going out to the Cowboys, but the Cows, they go to 2-2, and Monkey's men have not a glimmer of hope, but they look, hopefully, to string some wins together now. The Eels, they improved to 3-1, top 5, I believe. They beat the Sea Eagles 36 points to 18. Luke Short starring in both the first and the second half. Started the first half on the bench, went length of the field to score a try, then the second half really lit the Sea Eagles up inside. It was pretty awesome to watch, in all honesty. Now, our last two games of the winter, the Panthers taking on the Storm, and in Victoria, the Panthers managed to knock the Storm off 24 points to 18 thanks to a late Zachariah Sigarini try. That was really something. I believe it was Riley Murray breaking up through the middle, flicking a ball out to a flying Sigarini, who finished off the Storm and consigned them to their second straight loss on the season. Maybe some Storm stocks being sold. It remains to be seen. Now, lastly, and the highlight of the week, the Dolphins 19 points to 18, and at no point in this game was I stressing. At no point was I concerned. Not even when we went down 18 points to 12. Look, the Dolphins are a very good team, and we'll talk more about it later, but they were just eventually outlasted. Guga Maiava had a try and a field goal. I scored a try. That was a pretty good try. You should watch it. But a fantastic game. The Dolphins took it right to the edge, and they have proven probably why they are such a difficult team to play. And that'll be us for our weekly recap. I hope you join us on the couch. We'll dissect all things SRL from the previous week and have a look at the week to come. I'll see you in the couch. Welcome to episode 4 of the Sunday Night Show with Johnboy and what should have been Snicko, but his bum ass decided to sit out this week. He's got this thing called life apparently and is quite busy. So instead of Snicko, joining me on the couch, the infinitely more likeable and somewhat more knowledgeable, My Ava joins us. The studio is a bit makeshift today, but it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Johnboy. It's a pleasure to be here. We're live in a different location.
Yeah, it is a hodgepodge of a setup if you saw what we were doing at where we are right now, but we will make it work. We have a few things to flick through. We'll talk about the night season so far with My, then we'll launch into my 6 agains, or my 3 agains, minus Snicko, and then instead of the Greek Freak of the Week, we have the Roman Showman, brought to you by My Ava. That'll be interesting, and we'll preview the week's games to come in round 5. But I guess firstly, not the season the Knights would have wanted. How good did it feel to bounce back and get a big win over the Rabbitohs?
Yeah, tough start to the season, to say the least. There was a few conversations that were happening in those first couple of weeks, about...
Was it like we suck? We're not good at rugby league?
Hilarious. Thank you, Johnboy. No, it was a tough couple of games. We've got a couple new guys in the sheds, and new girl as well. Yep. Another Maiava, Kimchi Maiava, on board with us. So, tough first 3 games, but it was really nice to bounce back against the Bunnies last week. So hopefully onwards and upwards from here.
Well, you'd hope so, because you have a tough game against the Tigers, who are bouncing back after a convincing win over the bye. Probably the last 2 points those bums get all season. But, I mean, I liked what I saw from the Knights against the Rabbitohs, in all honesty. Finn Manning's actually got quite a tough side. And he's a young and inexperienced captain, but Michael Moana was pretty energetic. He scored 2 tries against us. And I do think with Matty Johnboy, they're a good team, so to get up over them is great. Kimchi Maya has been fantastic for you this season. Hailing from the Far East, she's made quite the impact. How good's it been having another active member in the Night Sheds?
Yeah, it's been good. Not much rugby league experience previously from her, so it's been really great to see her getting involved in the sheds, getting involved in the team, ruffling a couple feathers in some of the chats, I think, as well.
Oh, we love it. We love it. We love a shit stirrer. But I suppose now for the Knights, Pretzel seemed very energetic after the last win. Must have been good for him and for the leadership group in general. I think that's you, Indurain, and a few others.
Borsons now. We're back.
And Mike Borsons, sorry.
Borsons.
No, I didn't mean to dename him. Otis Keane also seems to be very... Otis Mayava, as of the time of recording. But Otis Keane seems to be getting amongst it. It's been good to see another face join the active members list. But if that's all the questions that I have, and it is, we'll turn now to the 6 agains. And Snicko is not with us, so it's more like 3 again. But we will try to make these as interesting as possible. Now, my first one is that I'm not selling my stocks in the Storm, but I'm not as big a believer as I thought they were. I think the gap between the Wars and the Storm, who I had it pegged at number 2, is quite substantial now. The Warriors clearly are the best team in the SRL. I know they lost to the Roosters, but they absolutely gave it to the Raiders at GAO, I believe, as well. And the Raiders were undefeated going into that, so that is a testament to how well the Wars are tracking. But yeah, the Storm went down again this last week, and I'm not sure about it right now. Secondly, I believe the Bulldogs are a false economy. They will crash down to earth after the Sharks beat the ever-loving hell out of them. I'm so confident we'll win at Shark Park, you would not believe. That Bulldogs team is no good. They are...
Bonkers.
You can't just say bonkers, you got to hit the soundboard.
There's no soundboard.
Oh, sorry. Why do you think that's bonkers? Why do you think that's bonkers?
Well, John Boy, as the patrons of the SRL will see when the team lists are released a bit later on, you've made how many changes?
I've made quite a few. I've made, I think, 7 changes for the side.
And who's starting at fullback?
Oh, Ginger Mayava. Ginger Mayava will be making his debut at fullback. I'm just rotating the team for what will be a training run against the Bulldogs. I'm quite confident that we won't need to do too much. We had an injury last week to Fa'apale. I'm not sure how he injured himself 5 seconds before the game even, what is your objection? Anyway, sorry, someone's still figuring out how the segment works. But I don't believe in the Bulldogs. I will believe it when I see it, and if they beat us, maybe my mind will be changed. Thirdly, I've got the Dolphins as a top 4 side coming in. And this may be a bit self-centered because they did push us all the way. But I quite like what Plays is able to do. I'm not sure how he does it. The workings of his team lists are a mystery to all, apart from Plays and Allison. But he consistently makes tough teams that are hard to beat. They were good last year. They were a couple points off making the grand final. And I know the record doesn't show it, but they've been a tough team to play all of this season. They ran us close. They ran the Eels close. The Eels are 3-1 now, but they ran the both of us close. I think they lost round 1 before that was turned into a bye. And so I do believe they beat the Knights as well quite comfortably, which I'm sure you'll remember my mind. But they are a good team, and I believe in Justin Plays and Allison. Now, it is time, I believe, for the debut of the Roman Showman of the Week.
Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it.
Hit us with it.
Yes, John Boy. So with the absence of Snicko this week, unfortunately, there will not be a Greek Freak of the Week. However, I've come up with a completely original segment, which I'm calling the Weekly Roman Showman. And this week's Weekly Roman Showman, at risk of this going straight to his head, is Damien Moana and the story of Hercules and the 12 Labours, which, as it went, Hercules was given a list and a series of impossible tasks as ordered by, I'm going to butcher this, King Eurystheus. How do you reckon that's pronounced?
I'm not even going to try to attempt that.
Eurystheus. But yeah, I think we all saw the massive amount of changes that the Warriors had to make on the off-season. Lots of different signings. New vice-captain coming in the form of Jon Maiava. Had to completely rebuild a brand new team. And as this Roman/Greek myth went, he overcame having to rebuild his team of labourers and getting through all these impossible tasks. And I think the Warriors have really shown that at the start of the season, that they've started to rebuild, and they are a good threat to become immortal, like Hercules.
Freak of the week. I mean, it's hard to argue with a story as detailed as that. I do quite like the metaphor between the bunch of labourers and bums and them being compared to the Warriors players. I'd also probably include one of the labourers being having to take on Jon Maiava. He's a very he's an eager leader, Jon, and so it's been interesting to see what he's done at the VC. I personally think he's a bum, but that's neither here nor there. Damien Moana has had a good eye for vice captains as of late, so I do trust in his process. And they're flying right now, so it's hard to argue that he's not doing a good job, Damien. But I believe that'll take us now to our weekly previews, and we'll flick through real quick just what games are going on, what games we find interesting, and we'll see where it all sits. Now, obviously, with the bye, the Wires won't be playing this week, so that Maiava SRL bet, I believe it's three Maiavas, all good wins to score.
Correct.
That is the easiest money you will make, or that is borderline money laundering by the commission. But essentially, we have quite a few games in flying through, and we'll open the round with the Raiders taking on the Cowboys, and I'll have the Raiders 9-18 bouncing back against the Cows. The Roosters gets a Storm. The Storm won't lose 3 in a row. I'll go Storm 1-8. That'll be quite a good game to watch because the Roosters are flying. They only went down narrowly to the Cowboys last week. And then we have the Dolphins against the Sea Eagles. The Dolphins will beat the Sea Eagles 9-18. I do believe the Dolphins have had some position swaps as well, so that will be interesting. I'm not too sure where they go, but if insider knowledge from me looking at Bank Chat is to say anything, I think we may see some shake-ups in the team lists. Now, casting our minds over to the first of the Tuesday slots, and the Sharks take on the Dog Sharks 19+. Now, the Panthers take on the Titans after that game, and the Panthers looked quite good last week when they scored off that they won off that Segarini match winner. But I'll take the Titans 1-8 just because logically I don't see them losing 5 in a row. Surely they'll go 0-5 to start the season. And the Knights take on the Tigers. They've got the Tigers 19+. Unless my mind disagrees with that, which judging by her face, she probably does. But no, we'll go Knights 1-8. Kimchi Maiava to score a field goal to win the game, I think. We'll just have to see how this rejigged Knights side works out or shakes up this season. And then lastly, we've got the Eels against the Bunnies. Oh, that was a tough one. I'm going to go Finn Manning to lead us boys to an upset. It's at Parramatta too, but we'll go Rabbitohs 1-8. 1-8, yeah, that sounds about right to me. But an action-packed week. Do you have any games that stand out to you?
God, I might sound a little bit self-centered.
Are you going to say the Knights Tigers?
I am going to say the Knights Tigers, and I do have a reason for this. So that look of disdain is not necessarily John Boy, and that is because this is a Mark Hughes Foundation charity game, and we've been in talks with Jeff Keane and obviously Josh Pretzel, and we've got some exciting charity round jerseys for Beanie Round, just to celebrate all the fantastic work that charity does and bringing some of that into the SRL. So it's not just because it's my game.
It should be an interesting week. I think a few teams are running out custom jerseys too. I know the Sharkies are running our retro jerseys, and then we'll also have an announcement on 2 new jerseys to come next week. One will be a Pacifica one, and then the other will be a mental health awareness one as well, I think. But if nothing else, I think that'll do us for this week's episode. We hope you enjoy as well. Look, it should be an interesting week, and I'll see you at the same time as we always do. Take care, brush your hair. Mwah.
This could be our year. Afterwards.
When Marcelo runs it back, Tohu's leading from the front. We're moving up the table like a hot cross bun. Then we see Shui Guy, the coach's box behind. block of roaches saying that the team is doing fine. Shawnee shows a six-pack, Dylan just scores some tries. Looking at his curls, is that a perm? Us Channel 9? Up the wires. Up the wires, up the wires. Bring it out of trouble with Chance running from the back. Then we give the ball off to our big monster pack. AFB and Mitch Barnett, Jackson Ford Bunsey. If the ref's rubbish, then our sponsor sends a tweet. Up the wires.